Life is full of friction. People are unkind, some of them. Things get awkward. Your car breaks down. You have to disappoint people sometimes, or apologize, or leave them, or commit to them, or even break their hearts because it's not right. But that's life, and that's how you grow. If you've been hurt so many times that you can't stand up and face these moments of friction, that's what I call playing small. And it stops you from being able to grow and change. Now, I played small for most of my life. Maybe you have too. Here's a picture of me in 2012 or so. I was about 49, well before Crappy Childhood Fairy, when I was playing very, very small. And the picture on the right is me now, 13 years older, but now set free to be myself, in most ways anyway. And you can see it in my face. I can see it anyway. And when I shared these photos in a post the other day, some people were very quick to point out, there's a couple of cosmetic changes. I wear more eye makeup now because I kind of have to so that you can see my eyes through my glasses. I didn't used to need my glasses all the time before. I got my damaged teeth fixed last year, and that looks pretty different. They're a little too perfect if you ask me, but there you are. And I think my hair is a lot more styled than it used to be. And that is the luxury of having kids that are all grown up and having a business that's going well. But the rest of the change that you see in the two pictures is an inner quality that I call shine. And I'll be teaching each of the changes that I made in my life to make this transformation. And you can do these changes too in a series of videos that I'm going to start right now today with this video. I want to tell you what was going on when these photos were taken, and funnily enough, they were both taken by the same person, my friend and colleague Brad Cooper. So this is the story. In the older photo, I was a divorced mother with two kids. They were like 9 and 12 at the time, and I was running a video production company that I'd built up from scratch during the financial crisis of 2008 when I lost all my old consulting gigs. I had no income. And I was desperate. I had to do something to keep food on the table and a roof over our heads. And I had no savings, and I had nobody to help me out financially. And you know what? After a few years, my little video production company was doing okay, like the little train that could. I put together a team. I talked my way into getting contracts with organizations to make videos for the web. That was the whole thing. And keep in mind, in 2008, when I started, I had to convince people that videos could be on the web, that you could have one on your website. They were like, no bandwidth. And YouTube was like 2 years old back then. So it turned out to be a great idea and a good business idea, and we were early in the market in San Francisco. And so my company ended up doing pretty well, and I ended up earning the business of some really good clients who treated me with respect, and they were fair. But I had this one client, this one person really, who had hired me to make a whole bunch of videos for their organization, and I'm saying they to keep anonymity on this person. Well, they used to trample my boundaries so badly I'd have nightmares and panic attacks between shooting days because I didn't stand up for myself. I often worked 3 times the number of hours that we had agreed in our contract. And the conditions were really chaotic, on the client side of things. They just wouldn't come through with the scripts, and there was no extra payment. When I had to work overtime for all of that, one time we had a shoot with a bunch of actors and they didn't have any scripts until we were already starting shooting, and a lot of them didn't want to work that way. And you don't get their best work when they don't have time to learn their lines. And one of them very rightly walked out. So that was interesting. It was an opportunity for me. But I'll tell you about that in a second. But when I complained and I just said, listen, you're going to have to pay me extra. This ended up being a lot more work. Now we're going to have to, when people don't know their lines, I'll just tell you in production, it is so much editing and post-production to try to stitch it all together and make it work. When people know their lines, you just put the camera on this person and they're like, blah, 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 say their thing. Put it on that person, blah, 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 they say their thing. You cut it together. It's on budget. But when nobody knows their lines and you're doing 50 takes, anyway, it was so much work, and we would be there till 11 o'clock at night, and everybody was exhausted, and we didn't have food, and it just was like again and again these working conditions that could have been prevented, and that the client took no responsibility for creating the problem, wouldn't pay extra, and guess what I did? I kept taking projects from them. I kept going because I needed the money, frankly. I just needed the money. And in those days, I had some healing from my complex PTSD symptoms for sure, but not all the way. And, as I'm sure you know, conflict is really hard, and standing up to people is hard when your symptoms are strong. And there's always a risk, like if you get into it with somebody, and stand up and they say no and it gets weird or it gets emotional or you get threatened, that you're going to get so dysregulated, you definitely would not be able to direct a video. So I was sort of managing things by keeping small. I hid my anger. I acted nice. I sacrificed time that I needed for myself and my kids. And I kept saying yes to these new projects, dozens of them. And I felt like I had to. And, we've all been there. Sometimes we have to do things we hate because we need the money. But when you look at that photo of me in 2012, I can just see it in my eyes. I am so clearly playing small. And a lot of people, when I showed these videos or these photos on social and on a YouTube community post, they were like, oh, you're beautiful in both. And I thank everybody for that. But the thing is, what I want you to see is just like just throttled. I'm just throttled by fear in the first one. It doesn't matter if I'm pretty. It's like we're all pretty. But I think that I look freer now and shinier, got more shine. So with this client, one night, I had this terrifying dream that I was speaking and the client's voice just kept coming out of my mouth whenever I spoke, as if they were controlling me. And I woke up terrified. I was so clear in my mind that that's exactly what I had allowed to happen. Like when you make a video for somebody and, you set it all up, you're putting their message out in the world. Like functionally, it is your voice. And that's what I dreamed. I knew I was doing something immoral because there was just a lot of stuff that I fundamentally disagreed with about the messages they were sending. Other people might not consider it. I won't go into it, but I did not feel good about it. It didn't feel right. It was kind of like, teaching people to be sneaky, and I wasn't into it. It was starting to make me feel sick inside and have these bad dreams that I was now doing something wrong by doing this work. So I finally had the courage to speak up and say I didn't want to do this video, and I was willing to walk away in my mind, but I didn't have to because they got so upset that I was never, they were like, I'm going to tell all your clients and blah, blah, blah. They got very harsh with me about it, and I had peace in my heart. I'm like, I'm just walking away from this whole thing. I don't want to be in this ugly thing. And so it all imploded, and that problem was solved. And you know what? There's that funny thing that happens when you cut something rotten out of your life. It's like the good things that you wanted can finally find you. I don't know what it is, that cab light, that light, that shine, right? The stuff that's better for you to be doing like gravitates to you somehow. And I quickly had new clients, better ones, more interesting ones, more income, and therefore less fear that I had to tolerate any amount of bad treatment, or creating works that I didn't feel good about. I no longer was afraid I was going to starve. Things were going to be okay. Now, my whole job back then was writing and producing and directing other people who made online training and marketing videos, and I was good at helping them shine. It's hard to speak on camera, if you've ever tried to do it. And the people I directed were sometimes actors, but most of the time they were, quote, real people. And when they struggled to act naturally or read the teleprompter, or they failed to show up at all, which occasionally happens in production, I could always step in and play whatever role was needed. I could fix the script, I could test the mic, I could play the role of the expert on camera, I could read technical information with warmth and clarity and show people how to read it, and I could improvise whole scenes and get them done in a single take. And my clients used to joke. They'd go, you should be the one teaching and you should be the one in front of the camera. Ha, 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 ha. Well, you know what happened next, right? Here we are. I took another step to stop playing small. And what playing small is a protective measure. It's usually unconscious, where we avoid speaking up for ourselves, we avoid taking risks, or we avoid reaching for what we really want in life. We're hoping that this will keep us safe from criticism and failure. And it's really common in people who were abused or neglected as children, which I was, and I know many of you were. Now, playing small keeps you safe at first, but then it just holds you back. It serves nobody, and it drains your life of all the good things that you deserve. Luckily, you can free your life and begin to shine. And in a series of videos that I'll be releasing over the next several days, I'll teach you more ways that you can spot where you are playing small. And sometimes all you need to do is to see where you're doing it, and it changes. Sometimes it takes more work. But it's not just in your career. It's in every way that you live and express yourself, your relationships, your pursuit of joy and purpose, and the way that you care for yourself. Now, here's what I'm going to ask you in exchange for this series. Please make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. As I'm taping this, I'm getting so close to having 1 million subscribers, and for years, this is like my stretch goal. I would love to have 1 million. Will you help me get there? I never thought I'd see that happen a few years ago, but it's in sight right now. So talk about not playing small. I'm just coming right out and going, come on, if you're not subscribed, just hit the button. Let's go. Let's make 1 million. And while you're at it, you can hit the little bell that gets a notification when a video comes out. And that would be good for this series, I think, because you're going to want to see each one of them. I have all kinds of free tools and more things, courses, webinars you can come to in the description section below this video. But I'll leave you with this right here, and I will see you very soon.